All right, everybody, welcome to the show. We got a real treat tonight. This man needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. You've seen him on Hoarders, you've seen him on Filthy Fortunes. He's a guy who steps into the dirtiest, wildest situations in America and somehow walks out with a clean house and a craziest story. He's a true expert in extreme cleanouts, a TV personality, and someone who's been in the game longer than most of us ever known existed. Please welcome to the show, Matt Paxton.
Thank you, sir. Good to be here.
How are you, man? I gotta say, brother, I found you in that first season of Filthy Fortunes on Sunday nights on Discovery Channel, and from episode one, man, you gained a fan over here, brother.
Thank you,
It was
dude.
right up my alley. I was posting it everywhere, got everybody in the junk removal community talking about it and tuning in, and we're like, finally something out there for us, man, representing us. And
Well, yeah, it's what you guys do every day, and you've been doing y'all. I mean, God, I've been doing this 25 years, which is crazy when I think about it.
wow.
And yeah, I was 24 when I started.
So I
And
gotta ask you, brother, where did you grow up? Where were the early years of your life and all?
I was lucky, man. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, so it's halfway between New York City and Miami, and it's like a cool East Coast city. It's like, everybody knows who your grandfather played football for. Like it's one of those towns. So if you hustle, you can do really well because you're like people know you and they knew your dad and they knew everybody. But if you suck, you're done. I mean, you don't make it. You can't make it 2 weeks because everybody will go to church and tell everybody you suck. So I didn't necessarily know that at the time, but when I started cleaning houses, it let me, my personality was probably better than my service level. And because the city was that way, because people knew me and they knew my dad and they knew my grandpa and knew my grandma. I mean, like everybody knew everybody. So it was a great place to grow up, and it gave you like a year or two to figure your hustle out. But I loved it, man. It was a great place. I live in Atlanta now. I moved here 5 years ago for a lady, and that was a good call. I would say that we got 7 kids combined between us, and 6 boys, 11 to 16, and a 19-year-old girl. So it took a lot. It took an awesome lady to get me out of Richmond because I loved that city. But yeah, I was there 25 years, man.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is amazing, man. And I gotta ask you, man, what is some hobbies that maybe some people might not know about you?
I work, dude. I'm an entrepreneur, man. Like I don't have a lot of. I mean, I got 7 kids. So right now, like like whatever my kids are into, that's what I'm into. So like this year, I've gotten really good at Mario Kart because I'm freaking playing Mario Kart every night with my boys. And used to really be into paddleboarding. I love paddle, like stand up paddleboarding, and I love that. It's like the only time I actually like totally chill. But I'm one of the rare ones, man. Like I love working. Like I don't want to miss a day where I love it. Like
I'm the same way, man. And with all those kids, you don't got much time on your hands, so that
no, I
is.
don't, and I actually love making money. Like I was literally talking to my therapist. I've had a therapy session this afternoon, and I was like, dude, I love making money. Like it brings me joy. Like I enjoy hustling, and I enjoy turning nothing into something. And so like you could never pay me to like go play golf, like to lose 8 hours and not make $1,000. No thanks. Like I'm good. Like and I always think like profit per hour, profit per day, like in anything that I do. And so if I'm just like sitting in a golf cart, and not to disrespect, if you love golf, awesome, I hope it works for you. But I sit on a golf cart and I'm like, man, I just lost $800. Like that's the way I view it, And so, and I end up thinking of a new business. I mean, so like for me, I'm just like, man, let me work on the weekends. I do whatever my wife wants to do. Like she picked, we do. I will say that Friday nights, no matter where the kids are, me and my wife, we go to a steakhouse, we have a few drinks, we go dancing, and we go on a good date, and we have a night together, and that ends exactly how you would hope it would end, right? Like it's a great night, and we love it, and that's kind of my chill time, and then I'm back to work or hang with the kids. I mean, that's all I really do. I love
Well,
it.
I gotta say, man, you're speaking my language right now, brother. I am a true entrepreneur by heart, and I want to give you a quick example. I tried getting a hobby, man. I wanted to do something where it wasn't business and making money and all that. I was like, I need to have balance in life. So, I went and started arm wrestling and everything. Well, I got in arm wrestling 6 months. Next thing I start trying to be the top world promoter. I'm throwing events all over the world and everything. I'm like, I can't do nothing as a hobby. It always turns into a business.
Yeah, it's always business. You're exactly right. You end up like, okay, I could do a much better job putting on a promotion of this thing. And then, you turn it into business. Everything I do turns into business. And some are great, some aren't. But that's who we are. I mean, it is what it is. And I love it. Like, I really like, you messaged me on here. You're like, hey, you want to do this thing? And I looked you up and I was like, shit, this guy's a hustler. Of course I'll do it. Like, why not? You never know. And, and it's just like, I'm the same way. I just want to work and I just want to make money and have fun. And I really get to, which is the cool thing. Like, I actually get to do that every week.
And we all get to watch it with you, man. And I love it, brother. So I got to get into the business life, man. So I see that you're a founder of Clutter Cleaning Business, man. And I want to kind of learn about that.
So Clutter Cleaner is my brand. We started franchising it this year. We've got 8 locations our first year. We'll probably do 4 more by the end of this year. And it's what you see me do on Filthy Fortunes. It's the estate clean out. I mean, that's my business is really estate clean outs and hoards. And we still do a lot of moving senior living communities, like moving people in and out of senior living communities. But what we don't do is we don't do the junk hauling and we don't do the moving. We work with good local movers and we work with good local junk haulers. And you'll see on Filthy Fortunes, like each week I got a different local independent junk hauler and on every episode, and I love it because for me, we really make our money being kind of that concierge estate cleanup guy. So no one who, you got a Mickey Mantle, 54 Mickey Mantle, I'll find the buyer for the Mickey Mantle, right? And so like that's where God, this week, I was doing a house on the West Coast, and I went in, and the reason the lawyer called me was because there was a bunch of guns in the house, like loaded guns. Oh. And so our model is a little different than junk. I mean, for us, we get paid by the hour. That's it, just straight up by the hour. Doesn't matter what the volume is. And if I'm in the house for 10 hours, I get paid for 10 hours. If I'm in the house 100 hours, we get paid for 100 hours. And
I gotta back you up a little, man. So what made you get into the whole hoarder house clean outs? Like, where did that all come from, and when did that start? Because I thought that you started the clutter reduction business, and I
started Clutter Cleaner in 06, man.
Okay. So you just franchised it recently.
I literally ignored franchising for 20 years. Everybody tried to get me to do it 3 or 4 different times, and I just didn't have the right team. Like, I truly, it's all the hustlers out there listening. Like, I absolutely, like, if you don't have the right team, it ain't gonna work. And I never had the right. I had a lot of good guys that worked for me, but I was still trying to manage it all, and it wasn't right yet. And so I never franchised. And when I got the right team 2 years ago, I was like, okay, boom, it's time to go. And I don't know why it clicked in my head. I was like, it's time to go. And truth be told, like, I'm like you, I'm vision. Like, I'm always thinking of the next business, the next product, the next thing. And I got a really solid team that runs Clutter Cleaner for me now. And it's people I've worked with over the last decade. But yeah, when I was 24, my dad, my stepdad, and both my grandfathers passed away in 1 year. So the 4 men that raised me, and I had to clean out the houses for my grandma and my mom. And I was cleaning out the houses, and I was like, this sucks. Like, it was horrible. And one of those men, my grandfather, had always said, hey, if something sucks, do it as a job because other people pay to do it. And I mean, I'll say that again. If something sucks, do it as a job because the people will pay to do it. And so, like, literally that day, I was like, all right, well, I was actually working on a soap company it was a flip-flop cleaner, like for like your Chacos and Tivas. And so I was really trying to build another company, and I kept failing at that. And so I started cleaning out after I spent a whole year cleaning out my family houses. And I did love the stories and I loved the people, and I thought it was really interesting, but I still thought that was the side hustle. And I was like, well, I started making more money on the side hustle, and I was like, maybe I should really embrace this. And then I remember one day I said, all right, I'm going to just stop with this dumb soap thing. It's not working. And I'm going to give this 6 months, and I'm going to see what happens. And like, basically, I took that same mentality of do the work nobody wants to do, and you'll always have a job. And I got asked to do a hoarded house. And I just viewed that like 6 people had said, I don't want it. And so, like, it's too gross. It had like 100 cats in it, and it was pretty rough. It had mold, had 100 cats. It was, I mean, it pass any inspection. Like, you know, I probably shouldn't have gone in there safety wise. The house probably could have fallen over. But, you know, when you're starting out, you don't care and you just work. And so I was just like, well, I'd be, you know, when someone says to me 6 people said no, I just hear, okay, I can add another 0 on the invoice because like nobody wants to do it. Right. And so I was like, okay. And so I've always just said like, if everyone else says no, that's a yes for me. And so I said yes, sight unseen. And I just said, hey, I'll charge you by the hour. And like, it is what it is. And I got in there and it was like, holy shit, like I don't want to do this. But I was like, well, I'm committed, so I'll do it. And then once I did one hoarded house, I was like, I'm in because no one else wanted to do it. Right. And I was like, this is my brand, man. I'm going to do what nobody else wants to do. And I had a lot of guys that worked for me at that point that were like, you know, a lot of ex-cons, a lot of guys that nobody else in the world wanted. And I was one of those guys too. I mean, I had a horrible gambling addiction. I'm skipping over the good stuff. I worked at Caesar's Palace casinos. I had a horrible gambling addiction and lost everything. Owed a bookie 40 grand, you know, so I wasn't exactly, you know, killing it on my side. And then I just realized, I was like, I'm just going to hire the same guys like me, the guys nobody wants. We're going to go do the work nobody wants. And we found our little family, man. And we just started cranking out the work that nobody wanted to do. And we loved it. And then we got, in 07, 08, we got brought into all that REO work, all the foreclosed houses. And it was not good margins, but it was good work, right? And so I was going back and forth between you know, foreclosures and hoards. And I was just going back and forth, boom, 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 boom. And I did hoards for 5 years before I got on hoarders. Like people don't know that. Like I very quietly just cleaning out hoarded houses, just keeping my head down. And the thing about the only good thing about the foreclosed houses was we were all broke, man. Like we lived in Richmond, Virginia, but we'd go up to Washington, D.C. or Baltimore to clean these houses. Okay. And anybody's ever done foreclosure work, like the whole point is there ain't nobody in the house. And so we would just sleep on the beds that we were supposed to throw away. We'd clean out a foreclosed house, and then instead of renting a hotel, we'd stay in the foreclosed house all week. And it would keep our costs down so we could make a little money and bring money home to our families, you know. And so we were just, man, we were hustling, man, and doing hoards and foreclosures. And then a kid that worked for me was like, hey, there's this new thing called YouTube. And YouTube had just come out like that month. And they were putting videos on. And he's like, I'm going to put a video about us, what we do on hoarding. I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. It was like this film project for film school. And so, and literally the rest of us were all ex-cons. I wasn't, but all my other guys had done 20 years each. So everybody, in fact, one day we were in the room and I looked around and I was like, I think I'm the only one that hasn't murdered somebody. And when I looked at the guys and everybody's hands started going, literally all 3 guys in the room had done 20 each had done a vote for murder. But like they're good dudes, right? Like they did their time. I'm 50, right? Back then we were in our 30s. We went to high school together. They got into different stuff. I used to buy weed from one of the guys, you know, but I knew his sister. He was a good dude, and he did his time, and he fessed up for it. He didn't say it was someone else's fault. He was just like, look, I messed up, and I did my time, and I'm out, and I'm trying to get back in life. And so I always said I give anybody a second chance, but I won't give you a third, right? And so. And some of the guys made it, some of them didn't. But we found our way, man, and we started doing hoarded houses, and we loved it. And we did it.
I love this story, man. I really do. And we got a couple of comments in here. Bean says, hi, Paul. Hey, Matt. I messaged you a few months ago, and you messaged me. Bring them jobs to Indiana. I'm ready when you are. Keeping my eyes out for a good hoarder. She's been in the game for a long time. Really good junk removal company over there, and America Junk Boss. So I think you were in touch with her in the messenger or whatever. But really good person.
Actually, my wife, y'all. Anyone, if you're messaging me on Facebook or Instagram, it's my wife. I don't do that anymore. But she tells me to go with them, and I tell her what to say. Yeah. I'm seeing he's a good. Yeah.
I got it. That story, bro, it just connected with me so much, my man, because the way that I got into junk removal, man, I got in about 8 months ago, and the way that it was I was actually looking for opening up a bunch of laundromats, and one of the places I live in Florida, so I was looking in South Florida, Miami area, and was going to open up a couple of laundromats. I was staying at my Florida condo, and I was just shopping around for like 6 months and everything. It was a disaster. I was having so many problems like finding a good one. Everything was overpriced and all. Well, unfortunately, my grandmother passes away in New York and everything. So I fly up there, and the family's there to clear out the house and all. And, we got about 60 years of, clutter up in there. So, first thing that I said, I was like, is there a service that we could call that maybe help us out and everything? My mother's like, yeah, I called it junk removal. Just asking like ridiculous price, like 10K or something. So I was just like,
especially in Florida.
It was actually in New York where it was going down and everything. Yeah. So I hear 10K. So now we start doing it and everything. And I'm like, yo, this is not that hard. I'm like, 10K. I'm like, so now I remember my guy that runs my antique and collectible business in New York. I remember he telling me that he teamed up with a junk removal company, and it was the best thing for us because he's bringing nonstop stuff to sell in our shop over there. So I called my partner and I'm like, hey, Wally, I was like, what's going on, man? I said, how is that junk removal guy doing? Bro, he kills it, man. He's so successful and everything. So I'm like, all right, I fly back to my California place and everything. So I start going in YouTube and I start looking up. Next thing I see, Man Jojo, Sonoma Strong and everything. Turns out they live 15 minutes away from my house over here. Next thing I'm like, yo, I see all the money in junk removal. I'm like, I'm interested in it. Next thing I go and I start opening up the junk removal company. So that was over in January. So I was on like the same kind of story, brother. I wasn't looking to get into junk removal. I was actually looking for another business. Next thing it fell on my lap and I was like, yo, I like this, and I jumped right in.
Yeah, so it fell on my lap. I mean, over a longer time for me, but I mean, I love it, man. Like, I love the people interaction. Obviously TV has changed it for me. I mean, I would have been fine just being in Richmond, Virginia, helping old ladies. Like, I say old ladies, but I've been doing this 25 years. So like the women that hired me to help their moms 25 years ago, now the granddaughters are hiring me to help the moms, right? Like I'm now getting the second calls from that next generation. Because they trust us and they know us.
And how did you get into the whole TV thing? Like, how did that like fall on your lap?
Oh, it's crazy. So I got this whole thing. You'll hear me talk about it a lot. It's called hug and a check. Like, we're in the only business where you get a hug, other than like prostitution. You get a hug and you get a check, right? So we're like the one legal version of a hug and a check. And I tell all my guys, like, if you don't get the hug, you're not getting the check, right? Like, the hug is the key there. And you do that through communication, right? You're polite, you're nice, you're upfront, you're courteous, you earn trust. We teach our guys how to hug, like all that shit. But like I always say, like, you shouldn't be, if you're working for the check, you're in the wrong job. If you're working for me, you're working for the hug, because the check will come if you get the hug. If you don't, if you're just working for the check, it doesn't always work out. And so for me, I got really, really focused on, okay, what do we do? Because people would like cry, and then they would hug me, and then they'd hand me money. And I was like, what I'm doing is special. And so, believe it or not, this is before Instagram even existed. So there was no Snapchat, no TikTok, no Instagram. It was just Facebook. And so I went on Facebook and I said, and I had like 100 followers. And I just said, friends, just normal friends. I said, does anybody know anybody in TV? Because what I'm doing is special. And I really wanted to, again, this is like, would have been like 07, 06, 07. And I just knew what I was doing was different because of the crying and the check. And so it took me a year. Like, I wrote everybody I knew that was on TV. And there was this guy named Peter Walsh. He's kind of an old school, he was Oprah's declutter.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Peter wrote, he was the OG. And so I wrote his agent every day for a year and never heard from him. And I understand why now, because I get those calls all the time. And, but, like my dad always told me, you're going to get 99 no's before you get the one yes. And so like when I get a no, I get excited, because that means I'm at 98, and then I'm at 97, and then I'm at 96. And I think a lot of people get a no and they're like, oh, I'm done. I'm like, bitch, we're just getting started. You got 96 more no's before you get a yes. And you got to get excited about it, And so I really got focused on, like, I'm going to get on TV somehow. And if it takes me 3 years, fine. And so I was focused on it. And Peter gave me some advice. He's like, I can't help you, but do this and this and this. And then like 2 years later, Peter got asked to be on Hoarders. And he's like, I ain't doing that. But there's this crazy guy in Virginia. He'll do anything.
Yeah.
And he recommended me. And I got on. You're going to love this story. I got on and I didn't know anything about TV. And I asked the producer, I said, what do I do? It's this guy from A&E. His name is Bert Clacy. And you want to talk about how stuff comes back around. And so Bert was like the field producer. And he meets me and we do like videos. And he's like, you're going to be great. He goes, we're definitely going to call you Sunday. So I was on a Monday. I found out on Tuesday I was going to be a dad for the first time. Wow. And on a Wednesday, Bert calls me. He's like, dude, we need you in Alabama on Friday. I'm like, done. So on Sunday, I'm thinking, all right, I got it. And I just spent a year trying to get on TV. And I probably had 400 no's at that point. But you learn to like the no's instead of get upset by them. And so I was like, it just means I'm closer. And I got that between Monday and Friday. Not only did I get the yes, Friday morning, I'm in Mobile, Alabama, filming a damn TV show. I had to go to the mall to get a T-shirt made just to be on TV because I didn't even have a logoed shirt at that point. Yeah. If you see there's only one episode of Hoarders that I'm not wearing a Clutter Cleaner logo, and I'm wearing just a pink collared polo shirt, and that was my first episode because I hadn't gotten my T-shirts yet. Yeah, and but I get on the show and then it doesn't air for it was 8 months because it takes about 6 months for shows to get edited, and I was back to being broke. Like it was a rough year, it was a rough season, and I was broke. And they had turned off my cell phone. You're gonna love this story. And so Verizon, the day Hoarders was gonna air, was like 3 months on my cell phone bill. I hadn't paid it yet. And back then you could stretch your cell phone out a bit. And because you always got it at that point, I'm deciding, okay, which bills am I paying this month and which ones am I not paying? And so I didn't pay my cell phone a couple times because they hadn't turned it off. Well, the day that Hoarders is gonna air, they turned it off. And I called Verizon and I'm begging them. I'm like, guys, please turn my phone on. Please turn my phone on. And they're like, you can't do it, man. You haven't paid the bill in 3 months. And it's like, can you give me $20? It's like, I literally don't have $20. And I was like, but you have a mom. And this guy gets quiet. He goes, what? I go, do you have a mom? And he goes, what's your angle here? And I said, dude, I've done nothing in the last 5 years to make my mom proud. Like nothing. And I go, she's going to see me on TV tonight. And I go, she's going to call me to tell me she's proud of me for the first time in like 10 years. And she's going to get that, this number has been temporarily disconnected. She's going to know I'm broke. I go, I'm begging you, dude. And he gets real quiet and he goes, I hear you, dude. I got a mom. It's just some random kid at Verizon. He goes, I hear you, dude. I'm in the same place. He goes, I'll turn your phone on for 24 hours. He goes, but you can't dial out. He goes, you can only receive numbers. You can't dial out. I was like, I'll take it, dude. And so the show aired that night. It was a hit. And swear to God, my phone has been ringing ever since. Same damn phone number. And it still rings every day because that dude turned it on. And I just think of I mean, that sounds like a ridiculous story, but it's true, man. I remember being that broke. And I was broke for years. I mean, almost a decade hustling it. But I knew what I was doing was special. I really did. And it's just that first 10 years, no one knew yet, And I was doing the TV show to get I really just wanted a local newspaper article because back then the newspapers was everything. Yep. And I mean, for young people listening, that's the stuff you throw away in people's basements. But back then, that's how we got jobs.
That thing called the Yellow Pages.
Exactly, Yellow Pages. You know how much money I used to spend on the Yellow Pages? That was so expensive. Yeah. But it worked. It worked, man. And we used to run ads in the obituaries too. Wow. And that did really good business for us because we would literally it was an ad that said, call us before your kids do. And we put it in the obituaries and it was a clutter cleaner and people, they called left and right. But I remember spending $600 on my first ad. And I was like, I don't think I could ever do it. I was like, this is so much money. I couldn't believe I was spending $600 on an ad. And it was like, well, if this doesn't work, I don't have $600 for the next month, and it worked. I mean, I was shocked.
So what happened after Hoarders now? So did that just set everything off? Did the business start going crazy now?
Yeah, it blew it up. This was back when TV mattered. It was on, mattered what time. I was on Monday nights at 9. it was amazing. I mean, we were up against Monday Night Football and still getting 3 million people, and Hoarders
Let
just
me ask
blew
you,
up.
did you know a guy named Aaron Castillo? He was the camera
Yeah,
guy. That's my
yeah.
boy, bro, from arm wrestling, man. He does a
He,
lot of work for me.
dude, he is a arm wrestling
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, man. Yeah, I know
Oh,
anybody
Aaron's
that's
been
arm
on the
wrestling.
show Aaron was on our show for years, man. So
Yep. So I gotta tell you, he used to do all my seminars. I'd have all the famous pro arm wrestlers in at my house, and he would come down because I live in California also, and he would come down and do all the filming for us. And he would tell me about how he was he should be at Orders right now, but he had to come through the arm wrestling, but he's got to go right back there.
He would do that all the time. Like we would shut down at like 6 o'clock, and then he would take off and go to an arm wrestling thing instead of going to dinner.
Bro, he would meet me all over the country. So I would every week. I would be throwing an event in a different state, and he would turn around. And I'd be like, Aaron, bro, you're not even from around here. What are you doing here? He'd come to Texas. Then I used to always throw him in West Virginia, bro. I'm in your neck of the woods all the time, man. You might know my guy Travis Bajan, Tyson Bajan, the big football star.
Yeah.
That's my boy, bro. That's our
Yeah, Aaron's a king, dude. That guy, he was on our film crew for probably the last like 8 years. And he was we're a tight family on TV. Like we literally traveled the country together. Yep. Some of us were traveling, 40, 30 weeks a year together and for a decade, it was
Tell me something crazy, bro, that during that time. What's like the first story that just comes to you right now, bro? Like something
Aaron was at this one. We were doing a house in everybody who lives here has crazy stories. We were doing a house none of these are meant to make fun of horses. But we were doing actually there's two great stories. We were doing one it was in Seattle. And the lady, her mom had died. They both were hoarders, and they just hoarded their own piss. Like it was urine. And so it was just plastic and glass bottles of urine. And one side of the house was hers. One side of the house was her mom's. And they tasted different. So that's how you could tell which was whose. That's a joke. We didn't
Yeah, I was just like, wait, what?
You got quiet. But so there were different colors. That's actually how you could tell. And they had actually, and we're in Seattle, and so anyone on the Pacific Northwest and John knows that like West Coast is the hardest place to throw anything away, right? And we pretty quickly found out that we didn't know how we were gonna get rid of all this urine. The plastic we were fine, we could clear them, we could recycle them, but the urine was the hard. How do you transport this much urine? And we didn't know how much urine we had. And on TV, like you don't have any money, there's no money in the budget. And so by that point, I was actually starting to make a little bit of money because I'd gotten kind of famous from being this weird guy at Hoarders. And like, by the way, just for people listening, I got to go back to that story real quick. That the phone getting cut off. 6 weeks later, I was on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Wow.
You want to know how quickly your life freaking changes, man. Like it was Leno. It wasn't Carson, but it was Leno. But I got a free trip. I was just excited I got a free trip to LA. I didn't have to pay. It was the first time I didn't have to pay for that. But that hustle, man, like I'm telling you, it does pay off. But anyway, back to this house. So we're trying to figure out the urine. We do not know like how to move it. And so we're like, well, let's rent out a porta john. And so we'll see how many, because that's 100. I think it was 100 gallons. Don't quote me. I think it's 100 gallons in don't let the math mess you up. But I think it was 100 gallons of urine. So we pull the stuff out, we dump all the urine, it fills it up real quick. And we're like, okay, well, how many porta johns are we gonna need? We start to count. That was 100 bottles. We start to count the bottles, and we realize we're gonna need like 600 and something porta johns to get rid of all this urine. And the math and time just doesn't work. So we're like, shit, how do we get rid of it? We found out pretty quickly you couldn't carry more than like 10,000 gallons of urine. Anything more than 10,000 gallons, you have to have a commercial license to move it. And so we're finding out all these laws like really quick, And that's usually one of my first questions, like how much urine or feces can I transport on my own before I have to hire a professional service in? So then we find out pretty quickly it's actually really, really more affordable just to have a septic truck come and suck it all up. And we had these two kids that were trying to get on Hoarders. They were hustling like I used to, and they were committed. They're like, we don't care what happens, like let us in, like we'll do it. free range apple. Yeah, we used to call it plumber bombs, is what we used to call the piss bottles. But we get in there, and when these two kids that were committed to being, working on the show, the first thing we put them in a hazmat suit, and we put them in that we put a hazmat situation like in the front yard, and then we got a septic truck up the street with a hose, and they just were filling the 55-gallon drums with urine, and it's like they're sucking up all this chunky urine, and and we're going down from the top to the bottom, right? So we're going like 10 foot of bottles down to 0 feet. And so we're taking down that first 2 feet, we were fine because it's brand new modern plastic. It's firm, it's sturdy. But you get down to that like foot 6 and 7 and 5, that plastic's been degraded over time, right? It's summer in Seattle. And so chunky urine, there you go. That's best band name ever, chunky urine. So we're pulling this chunky urine out of the house, and the plastic we didn't know had started to degrade yet. So we're pulling it out of a very cool, very like temperament, like a cold house, bringing it into the summer of Seattle, 90 degrees. What do you think happens to these plastic bottles as soon as they get outside? They expand and explode on everybody.
Oh my God.
So we got these water balloons filled with 30-year-old piss, just and these two kids that we had like tricked into doing PA work for like $100 a day. They
Initiation.
They're like, we're out. We're going back to college. We're done. Right? They quit. They just couldn't handle that stuff. And we're pushing and we're pushing and we're pushing. And then finally, I mean, we get it. We realize we got to warm them up a little bit. You got to open them up on the inside of the house to let the air out, and then bring them out and pour them. And then we find our groove. For 2 days, man, we're just pumped. I mean, we're just pouring piss. That's it. We're going through the house. And then we get on the third day, we get to that last foot, and it's all glass. But the glass is all broken because we've been on the top. And so by that time, it's really just, if you ever seen like Lake Michigan in like April, it's like a slush kind of thing. But it's piss and broken glass. And we couldn't shovel it out. And I was like, hey, let's get snow shovels and we'll drill holes in the snow shovels, and that'll drain the piss out and get all the glass in. And I was so proud of myself for figuring out this new like piss glass spaghetti sifter thing, right? And we're getting the glass out, and there's a whole thing. You have to clean the glass properly. Yeah, foam on top. And the smell, by the way, y'all, the smell was, I mean, unbelievable. And we get to this bottom foot. We're almost done, and we're like, we're going to finish the day early. And anytime in junk, you think you're ahead of the game. That's when something blows up. And all these rats start running out of the walls.
Oh my God.
And they start running through the piss and glass. And all of a sudden, the floor just goes from yellow to red, man. And the rats are running through, getting cut. And the rats are going, because they're getting cut with glass. And the urine is running into their blood system. And the place is, I mean, the rats are screaming. And then like 1,000 bloody piss-covered rats run out the front door. And they just run into the neighborhood.
Oh my God.
And we're just like, what the fuck do we do? Like, we had no idea. And I think A&E is still paying for pest control in that neighborhood. I mean, it was
what did something like that go for? Like a job like that with the septic tank and all that stuff?
Oh, I mean, those are $100,000 jobs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
on TV you can get a lot of trade out, but I mean, honestly, most of my jobs are 75,000 and up now, and that's usually 30, between 15 to 20 in dumpster costs. I mean, because I'm normally, I'm usually doing. I'd say most of my jobs have 15,000 in junk, usually between 10.
How do you work that out with the junk removal companies? Does it go by the
TV?
volume? Does it go by?
Yeah, on TV, and I'll tell you guys, like, make sure you write me after this if you're interested. On TV, it's just you getting exposure, right? So like we're trading out. Like the network will work with someone like you to come in and get the exposure, get your logo on the shirt, get your trucks on the show, and use the social media to drive your local business, right? If it doesn't drive your local business, there's no point doing it, right? And then, but like on TV, we can't bring in a national brand because they want to sell the commercials to a national brand. And so, like, I mean, for many years, I'd be on Hoarders with my clutter cleaner logo on in the show. And then my competitor, a national brand, is paying for a commercial to sponsor the show.
Oh, wow.
I don't give a shit. Like whatever, like I'm a believer in if you really, really work, like you'll get hurt. Like if you're doing good stuff, people will hear, but for me, it's like, I just try to always like, I mean, I've told that story before. It's an amazing story, right? It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, like the only other one I got to tell this. This is a separate one. That story was insane, but the best one I ever saw, and Aaron was at this one, and we had this lady, really short lady, and it's one of these like upstate New York houses where it had a big basement, right? Big unfinished basement. There's steel poles all through the basement, and so there's
So my man Russ is in the house right now. He's in Rochester, New York. So he's up in upstate New York right there.
Hey Russ, like legit, we had a hard time finding good junk up there, and we're going to be up there this fall. So reach out to me. I'll give my emails and stuff on this on the way out.
I think you actually know Russ Berry too. I think you've talked to him about other shows or something about. Yeah.
I've talked to a bunch of folks, and sorry guys if I don't remember. Please reach out to me because we are literally getting ready to film 32 episodes. Like we started, but we're going all over the country.
When you come to North Cal, you got me over here. Forget about it, brother.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like I want to connect everybody here if you're interested. Like, we don't ask you to do it for free, but we ask for a break on the labor to get everybody on TV and to get this. So that's how I get a $30,000 job done for 20, right?
Yes, makes sense.
But there's no point in y'all doing it if we don't get pictures with the crew and you're able to put it out on social media.
I'm gonna be flexing, bro. I'm gonna be doing everything.
Yeah, I mean, don't even wear your shirt. Just have your logo tattooed on your chest. I mean, you don't even wear a jersey.
That's it, man.
Yeah. All right, so we were in upstate New York, old basement, one of those like old 70s. They'd have parties in the basement, had the bar and everything. And in Houston, yes, I do know you. You had it. I know that your son was doing his business down there. Yes, that's good. He's a good dude. Yep, I know exactly who it is. And you guys know who are those guys? Well, my boy in Hawaii, Matt Beasley, who owns Aloha Junk. Man, I'm gonna tell you, one of the solid dudes you'll ever meet, man. I was out there on vacation out in Hawaii with my wife, and I ended up going to ride a junk truck for a day to see Beasley. Like craziest, greatest guy I ever met in the world. But,
hell yeah.
Yes, the canned food, man. This guy, Russ did we probably carried, I bet you we carried 100,000 pounds of canned foods out of his house. Like legit. I know exactly where we are. Okay. All right. Anyway, so I'm doing this crazy. Oh, all right, I'm gonna answer this question. This is important. I'm jumping all over the place. Sorry. Do the orders come out of pocket or does the network pay for it? No. If you're on the show, the network pays for the clean out. I think it'd be unethical, right? So on Hoarders, on Filthy Fortune, we're not dealing with the mental side of it. On Hoarders, it was all about understanding the mental side of it and then the trash. And so on Hoarders, not only did they get a free clean out, they also got up to a year of therapy. Wow. And we made that mandatory. Like we wouldn't actually participate in the show if they didn't get that therapy.
That's great.
But the on Filthy Fortunes, they're just going to clean it. And but it was, I mean, it's not really ethical, I don't think, to put them on TV if they're not getting the therapy or the clean out. And I mean, and why put your but I will say this, the Filthy Fortunes people are now excited to be on the show because they get to highlight they get really good buyers that show up to buy their stuff. So they're making really good money, and they love it. And most importantly, the families are getting their properties cleaned. Hey guys, I'm going to put, before we leave, we're going to put the link for to casting for the show. We'll put it up here. And so you guys will be able to.
We appreciate that, man.
If you want to submit any houses, do it. And then most importantly, let's make sure you guys are the junk crew.
100%.
Because we're literally just starting to look for those folks now.
Let me ask you, man, out of all the junk companies that you worked with, was there anyone that stood out to you that you had a good relationship with?
Honestly, I flipped that answer. There's not anybody bad. I mean, It's why we work with independents. I'll be honest. I mean, I prefer to work with smaller, local. Like if they've got 300 franchises, we're not putting them on the show because it's not a local guy, right? Like I need a local person. I love the family-owned ones where husband and wife are involved. Or we had a group in Portland, man. It was the most Portland group ever. It was an all lesbian. It was 20 lesbians that ran this junk company. They were freaking badasses. And I'll be honest, never met a crew that worked harder.
Do you remember the name of it?
I don't.
I kind of remember it from the show, though. I
Uh,
do remember it.
It was like it was about like low price junk haul. I think is what it's called.
Okay, I'm gonna
affordable junk hauling. Affordable junk hauling. The girl, she said that was what she. I mean, she was lesbian, and I said, I got to ask, what was the branding on this for you? She goes, honestly, she goes, 30-year-old lesbian. She goes, we don't have the labor problem everybody else has. She goes, we all support each other. We're all on teams together. We all know each other. We're all friends. She goes, I can staff anywhere in the country in that community. And she goes, the rest of you guys are struggling to get good people to work. And she goes, I don't have that problem in the lesbian community. And she's like, we're all, and they were absolutely hands down. I mean, you always got one or two guys that are kind of rough, not so good.
Yeah.
And no, she didn't have a week. There was not a loose wheel anywhere. And we had 20 people on this job, and they were amazing. I mean, but I would say the main thing for me is that it's just looking like, I don't like the super, if you're super polished and you got 20 locations or 100 locations, I tend to find that like the compassion gets lost there because the owner's not there.
Yeah.
And it's not even the top manager. And when you've got that many layers of management, the person doing the work is not making any money.
Loses the connection too.
Yeah, and they lose the connection. And so when the owner doesn't, like when the guy on the truck doesn't even know the owner, they're not making any money. And so I just found like that compassion's not there. So I gotta
ask you, man, is this is it real, like the whole show, or is there like stage? Do they give you like, because I've been on a reality show, I went through the first 2 seasons. It didn't actually air, but so I know, kind of
most of reality is fake. Like
yes, that's what I was about to say.
I'll say it. So Hoarders was the only show that was 100% real. I'll tell you that right now.
Wow.
Hoarders, all you had to do was keep the camera running, and you would see some crazy shit. Right. On Filthy Fortunes, we've definitely had to plant a few items in the. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we've planted like it's not like Pickers where everything on Pickers was the whole Pickers was fake, like the whole.
Okay.
Thing,
so let me ask you: when you found those silver coins, was that real during that show?
Real. Yeah.
That was real.
But so it's funny you picked up that episode. So here's the thing: I don't know anything about the house when I get there.
Okay.
I need to be blind to it. I don't. Mike, the tall bald guy. He knows he's been in there for 2 days before me. He's researched a lot of the items. He knows what he can sell, what he can't sell. Because we are absolutely selling stuff and getting money for the family. Like that's 100% real. But like we were going through books at that house. We were talking about the silver, and I was shaking. I always shake every single book, and I shook the book, and brand new hundreds came out, like brand new hundreds, like right out of the ATM.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
oh,
this is real. I look at the producer. I'm like, this is bullshit, And so the producers will try to slide stuff on us when it's boring. Because my belief is every family is interesting. Every family has a story.
okay.
But like Texas was rough. Like they told us they had a 55 caddy. We get there and it's like a 85 caddy worth.
I remember you kept looking and you were like, oh man, and like the garage was so packed with stuff. Like
there was nothing.
There was such a disappointment. I know. I was all pissed off over that one.
But that's life, right? And so we had to really, the first season we had to kind of figure it out. We had to really figure it out with the producers. Like they didn't know our business yet. They just know how to make reality TV shows, and so they're used to faking everything.
Yeah.
And they were ready. They're like, we can get this here and this. I said, guys, just let me get to the garage. Like. You will find that garage no one's been in there since 1970. We're gonna find some really cool shit. And so it took them probably 3 episodes to realize, like, oh, it's all there. You're just not gonna see it till day 2, because we got to get to the back of the room. We got to get to the closet, And when the room is totally full, but like we had one guy, I won't. There was a California house, and I'm not supposed to share these stories, but whatever. This it was so funny I couldn't help it. Like his expectation of the cars was much higher than they were actually worth. Right?
Yep.
And so I'm negotiating. What I will say is not fudged, but I've already pre-negotiated all of the prices with what people are buying. I pre-negotiate that before we film it because I don't want to put a guy through it if he's not going to buy it. Right. So I'm trying to find like, hey, I'm going to be around 500 and 800, if you're thinking it's $1, let's not even do this, right? And so I definitely get them to a point where I know they're going to buy, because I don't have time to, and I also don't want to get my client excited.
Yeah.
And then the guy comes in, I'll give you $1 for your Cadillac. But we had negotiated some really good prices for these trucks, and the whole week I'm like, you got the titles? Yeah, I got the titles. You sure you got the titles? I got the titles. I'm like, we need pinks. If I don't have pink slips, I can't do anything.
Was that the one with the daughter was helping you out with it?
How did you guess?
That was it? Okay, I remember that one.
And in the middle of that one, there was someone that you never saw on the show that kind of lived on the property, and there were bounty hunters showing up looking for that other person.
Oh my God! Wow. So
like,
he's been hiding under the mountain of stuff, and that's how he's been hiding. Now you're pulling out all this shit.
Yeah, he's been hiding in a horde in the desert for 10 years. The bounty hunters are showing up while we're trying to sell trucks.
I wish you would have had that on film. You should have.
The guy wouldn't film. The guy, he refused to do it. We're like, we'll give you $500 to be on the show, and he wouldn't do it. And it was just a crazy horde, and it was in a weird part of California. And anyway, long story short, the guy did not have it. And so we go through a whole day of negotiations. We stretch the buyer. We get him to buy 3 trucks instead of 1, and it works out. And then we can never get the titles. And so I'm like, is this truck stolen? Like, I don't even know if it's real or not, And so we couldn't sell it. And it was just like, And so like you'll get there and you'll spend 3 days cleaning, and then the client may choose not to sell it. And there's really nothing we can do about that. It's the client's choice, And
how long do you actually stay on like at the house? Like, is that you're there for the full 3 days? You're actually
we're cleaning. Me and Mike have been cleaning houses for 15 years together. And Kaylin and Chris, they've been with me for 10 years. And the guy with the dreads, Chris, he used to sell me my Red Bulls and donuts at 7-Eleven.
Wow.
His sister ran the 7-Eleven around the corner from my house. And that's how I met him. Kaylin and I ran track against each other in high school.
Wow.
And these are boys I grew up with, and Mike and I, Mike's a great story. I was, our first wives, both of us have ex-wives. Our first wives were good friends. And one night I was at a party in my neighborhood in Virginia, and someone said, hey, there's this guy selling really nice vintage sweaters, Christmas sweaters, out of his car. You should come over. I go over there. I start talking to this guy. And indeed, he's selling these incredible Christmas sweaters. And I'm like, where do you get these? And he's like, oh, I just drive around. He's like, I deliver Chinese food at night. And during the day, I just go to thrift stores all over the country. And I pick out vinyl, old rock band t-shirts, posters, and Christmas sweaters. And then I sell them at certain time. He's an old picker. Yep. But Mike was like in his 30s, early 30s when I met him, And I go, dude, I think you just met the one guy you needed to meet in your career. And his mom had just passed away, so she was cleaning out her house. I was cleaning out. Like, I had not figured out. I was just doing hoarding at that time. I had not figured out what this next phase of our business was going to be. And I was like, I don't know anything about stuff. I don't know how to pick, and I don't know how to sell. He's like, man, that's all I do. And I was like, you want a job? He's like, yeah. And we started like just trying to put it together. And it was like one of the, like I'm always. People ask me when you're looking for guys, looking for guys or girls to work for you. I tell everybody, I said, ABP, always be poaching. Like I'm always looking for good service guys wherever I'm at. Am I at the FedEx store? Is that guy got good service? I bet you I can pay him more than $18 an hour, right? And I'm looking for guys. I literally just stole a guy from the UPS store the other day up the street from me. The kid was so good at customer service. Like, how much do you make? He told me, and I was like, dude, I can double that tomorrow. Like, travel a little bit. He's like, okay. And I poach guys all the time. I say that in the right way. I'm looking for guys that have good service. If they're compassionate and they work hard, I can teach everything else. But I absolutely cannot teach you to be compassionate and hustle. And yeah, restaurants, well, absolutely. I can't tell you. I'm going to be honest. You know where I get a lot of my people now? Teachers that are quitting. Teachers that don't want to teach anymore. I can pay them more than they make teaching.
That's smart. And they're going to be responsible. They'll be there all the time and good customer service.
Oh, there's customer service in the middle. They can manage a team. I feel bad taking teachers, and I never ask them if they're still teaching. But whenever I find out the teacher's leaving, I go right out. because, I mean, at the end of the day, my business is helping families. We help people. We're caregivers, and now I will say we don't do well with nurses. Nurses are wild. Nurses are wild.
That's what I hear. Anybody in that industry. Yep.
Most of my guys date nurses. I'll say that because they, we can tell stories all day, and some of these hoarding stories are insane, right? Insane, and not everybody can handle those stories. And so we just kind of noticed, like, all of us ended up dating nurses because they're the only people that have better stories than us.
That's crazy.
Their stories are insane. This guy came in with 20 gunshots. I mean, literally just last week, dude, I was doing a house. I went to do a special house for a family, and it had 1,000 guns, like over 1,000 guns in it. And I didn't know if they were loaded or not. Yeah. And no one knew. And I get there and I relock the house, like I had to basically rekey the house, put locks in there. And I was just trying to see what kind of guns were there. And I pick up the first gun and it's loaded, right? And I'm looking like, oh man, this thing is like, it's like an old, like, Western, like pistol.
Okay.
But it's loaded and it's a powder shot, And I'm like, oh, I can do with this thing. And my son is with me, and I'm like, buddy, you can't be in the house. Like, there's too many loaded guns. So I pick up the first gun and I realize there's a stack of 20s underneath it.
Oh man.
Pick up the next gun, stack of 20s. I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, there's 1,000 guns in this house. And within 2 hours, I found $220,000 in cash.
Wow. What was going on there?
At first I was like, is this like a drug house? Like what's going on? And then you quickly realize, like, dude just didn't trust banks. He's just an old school hoarder. He didn't trust banks. He had saved really well. It was all very ordered and very structured. It all made sense once you got into it. But, like, what do I do with 220 grand? I can't transport that. If I get pulled over, I'm going to jail, right? Yep. And I mean, it got like, we were on the phone with lawyers. I'm like, we can't, like, I don't know what to do here. And so we literally had to hire a Brinks truck
because it's like a money laundering charge.
Exactly. And then no one could deposit it. And so we actually there's apparently banks have, like, basic security groups where you can do that, but we had to have it all. And I was there for a 2-hour trip fee.
How do you deal with the guns? Like, how do you deal with that? Is there some, like, way?
I always bring in a gun handler. I just hire off-duty. I hire off-duty cops. I know your guy. A lot of my guys say, they worked with their grandpas and they can, they know how to handle guns, but none of us are insured for that. And it's just, you can pay an off-duty cop $300-400 to come in and he unhandles them all, and then you just get them inventoried, get them on. Once they're unloaded, I mean, that's an asset. I mean, get that thing inventoried, and we take pictures of everything. I mean, every item I see in a house now has to get inventoried, and because we don't want to get sued. And quite honestly, like, the guns will sell. I'm sure the guns will do $100 grand.
Wow.
I mean, guns are, guns used to scare me. I'm not a gun guy, actually. I do lose some of my employees. If there's guns in the house, they got to be 150 feet across the street, and now I don't need those guys.
Yeah, wow.
They can't be in the house, and they're not allowed to be within 150 feet of a gun. Well, then I don't need them on the job. So I'm having to ask the right questions up front. Are there guns? Do you think there might be guns? Did your grandpa hunt? So we're always, like, asking those things to make sure we're putting the right people, on the right job. And because it really, I mean, those guys need every paycheck, right? And you can't take them to a job and then say, sorry guys, you can't work. I mean, that's devastating to those guys and embarrassing, humiliating for them, because they have to tell people why they can't be within 150 feet of the house.
How do you balance your life with, half the traveling, the TV, all that stuff? Like, how does that all work out for you?
Well, like I said, I'm divorced. I didn't do a good job the first time.
Gotcha.
I'm actually newly married. I have a great wife. I now have really tried to isolate my filming to summer.
Okay.
And I've learned to say no. And that's something as an entrepreneur is really difficult. Like, really difficult to say no. And so now I think anyone on here is a hustler. And like you got a bunch of businesses. So I have to make sure everything I do supports my two main businesses and my family. If it doesn't help my family or business number one or business number two, then I don't do it anymore. Like, and I've had me saying no is very new, right? That's what the Friday night date night is. I mean, there's no way around it. We do it every Friday night unless I'm on the road filming. I bring my wife and kids out on the road with me quite a bit.
That's smart.
And so that's part of the cost of doing business. And I don't go away more than 10 days ever.
Now, do they do they cover all your expenses and bringing your family with you? Because you're in a much different position right now, so I would think it would be a lot different from you. Because when people get on a show, you kind of like they own you and all. But you being on Hoarders, getting out there, having a big name, going into Filthy Fortunes, I would think you would be able to throw around a lot more orders and start demand. No, not at all.
No, the minute you become, they call that being talent. The minute you become talent, now there's just not a lot of TV getting reordered. I'm blessed that I'm able to have TV, and so I made much more on Hoarders. I'll say that, but I get to promote my brand. I get to bring my kids on there. Honestly, man, I get to bring my kids on the road all summer now. Like half of my crew, I was doing a house this summer. I had 8 guys on the job. 3 of them are my sons.
Wow.
Like, man, I'm winning. Like, that's rich, to be with my boy. And they're learning from the guys that have been on the road with me. Like we were in that 200. I'm going to tell this story because this is the best story of my life from any hoard I've ever done. 2 weeks ago on that house with all the cash. And I told my son he couldn't come in, my 15-year-old son. Said, you can't come in the house, there's loaded guns, you got to stay outside. And then I was able to clear the guns from where all the money was. And he comes in, and I kind of wanted him to see 220 grand because like, you're never going to see that. It's cash. It's 20s, man. And I just wanted him to see it. And I said, no, look, bud, we're going to call the lawyer. We're going to have basically a body cam. We're starting to wear body cams on our cleanouts now for this exact reason, because we find there's a lot of benefits to being on TV, but there's also a lot of negatives. Like, first thing I thought was, oh my God, I just spent all this cash. Like, shit, they're going to say I stole it, right? Like, and then it's going to be a big story. It's off. Like, I'm the last guy that should be finding that much cash. And so I turned on the body cam, put it on my son. I said, look, we're going to film each other touching this and counting it, and the lawyer's going to confirm it with us. And so the lawyer is on Zoom, and he's recording it. And then we're counting. And my son at lunch, he's like, well, why are we doing that? And I said, we don't want anyone to think that we're stealing it. We don't want anyone to think they can't trust us. And I said, we don't have pockets in our uniforms anymore. There's no pockets in our uniforms. We designed them that way so that you're not tempted to steal anything, right? And it lets the clients know we're thinking ahead of that. We don't want to do it. And my son goes, well, why would you steal it? I said, what do you mean? I said, buddy, this family didn't know the money was in there. I said, the wrong junk company would come in there and just pocket it. And he goes, but nobody would know. And I said, but nobody would know. And he goes, but you would know, Dad. He goes, I would know. I couldn't live with that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm fucking done. My son's good. Like, if he knows he can't steal it because it would bother him.
You did right.
I did all right.
Yep.
Because I'm like, this is a lot of money, y'all. I was really proud of him. But it didn't even dawn on him to take it, right? And it just made me really happy. And our team is the same way. But you'll learn, you'll see more publicity on that. You'll see that story all over the media in 3 or 4 days, right? And I'll get $500,000 in business because I didn't steal the $200,000, right?
That's what I was about to say. So how do you capitalize now on your regular business? How do you make the TV equal money in your business every day?
For me, it's a positive story, man. I went, and I'm not going to get political, but no matter which side you're on, we can all agree we're in a divided country right now, right? And I don't care which side you're on. I live in Georgia, and so we're lucky. Like, Atlanta, one great thing about Atlanta is everybody gets along here, man. Like, black, white, Republican, Democrat, you'd be amazed. Like, you meet someone, you're like, 100% that's a Democrat, and you find out they're like hardcore Republican, right? Like, Atlanta it's kind of like Florida too. Atlanta's a really diverse area. But it doesn't matter who you are. I'm all about getting positive because everyone's getting so negative. So I just believe that if you focus on positive, you're going to stand out heavily, because everybody, I don't care which side, we're all just negative. We're complaining, we're sad, we're upset, we're depressed. I get it. But if I come in positive, you're going to hear me. You may not agree with me, but you're going to hear me. You're going to know what I'm saying. And so I've really, about 5 years ago, I just went to the positive side of it. And I just love telling the stories, man. And I'm addicted to it, and it's fun, and it's brought my energy back up. doing something for 25 years, you start to get kind of bored with it. And I love it. And I love the story. So for me, it's positivity in the stories. And the positivity is what the media needs. And so even if you just put it on Facebook or you put it on YouTube, I mean, people ask me this all the time. Well, how come you aren't on YouTube? Well, I do good on TV, right? It's easier for me just to stay on TV now. And YouTube's hard. But I'm going to tell you something. The people that are doing well on YouTube are killing it compared to what we did on TV. Like killing it. And it's still the number one search. YouTube is the number one search engine. Let me say that again. More than Google. YouTube is now the number one search engine. So I don't care if you and your wife are the only people on the truck and you got like BFE junk removal. Dude, you can grow a brand on your own right now on YouTube. You do not need to go on TV. And honestly, it's a waste of time. If you're not already on TV, it's a waste of time trying to get on. Like I tell people all the time, come on my show, help me do the junk. We'll push the local social media for you. And then you start filming your stories with your clients on YouTube. Because everybody's got a story. Like every one of your clients has a story. But I mean it like, and Matt Beasley and I were talking about this from Aloha Junk. He and I talk about this all the time. Like you make more money doing the right thing than you do doing the wrong thing. Like, let's dumb that story down. Say it was $600. It's easy actually to make the decision not to take $220,000. That's a pretty easy decision because you're like, I'm gonna get called, I'm gonna go to jail, blah 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 blah. $200, $400, it's like, you start to think it, right? I've never seen someone like Matt found the other day, he found $10,000 in silver coins. They had already gotten it on the truck. They weren't going through every drawer at the house. The house was a total clean out. They get back to the warehouse, they're sorting it, and they found the coins. And they did the extra work to find out which client it was, right? And then they took it back to the client and gave it to him. And the client called the local news to tell them how great these guys were. And they got, I think they did like 50 grand that week.
See, that's
in extra business because they did the right thing. So I don't want to preach, but like, oh my God, reward your guys, man. When they find something like that and they return it, you give them cash out of your pocket from the business. Reward your guys, give them good money. I do a 1% on every job, goes into a bucket. And then I started this about 5 years ago and it changed. Because for me, my guys would always drive the trucks under the trees. I'd lose a bit of my truck once. I'd have to re-roof it once a year. And now when I do that, the money for that comes out of that pot, that 1%. Right? When the guys forget their pocket knives and I got to go to Home Depot and buy 6 new pocket knives because nobody brought their pocket knives, that's coming out of that pocket. But what happened was I started none of my supplies got taken. My guys all started watching their trucks. Like everything, all my expenses started dropping. And so that 1% at the end of each quarter, the guys split it equally.
Nice.
And what I found was like one Christmas, the guys each got like an extra $7 grand.
That's amazing.
That's a lot of freaking money, dude. I don't care who you are. $7 grand. If you gave me $7 grand, I'd be happy. I'd be real happy. That's a lot of money. I don't care who you are. And the one thing my guys, I used to do it at the end of the year. And they were like, man, a year is like a decade for us. They're like, it's got to be quarterly. I'm not even thinking about a year from now. I just don't want to. He's like, I don't want to be in jail in a year. And he's like, if you can bonus me quarterly, it means more to me. And so I always try to listen to the guys, like what action. I'm thinking I deserve a parade for this idea. I'm thinking I'm the greatest guy in the world. And they're like, yeah, but you can pay your bills. We can't. And I was like, oh, you're right. So I changed it to a quarter. And dude, I'm telling you, it dropped my costs so much. And now they get excited when they find stuff. Like they find money and gold. We bring it. I think some of you guys have heard me tell this story. We do a glass fish bowl. A glass fish bowl next to the hoarder on every job. Not plastic, glass. And the reason we do that is anytime we find change, because you find change in every house, drop it in that glass fish bowl. Because it's glass, it goes ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. So that first 2 hours, the client can hear that they can trust us constantly. They hear that change every 3 or 4 minutes. And so what we learned is that we do that so much the first day that they already trust us by the time we get back on the second day. Wow. And it's just a spare change that you and I find on every house anyway. Yeah. And then they tell us, and they're so happy. And so what? How does that convey to other business? They're so happy. They go and they tell all their friends about how great we did. And I didn't even have to ask for a referral. Their friends are calling me, asking us to come check another house before we leave that one because they're so pleased with what we're doing. And so I've always just really hustled like, how do I monetize my no's, right? Like, if you're going to say no to me, you're not going to hire me. Great. That means you're going to DIY. You're going to do it yourself. And if you're going to do it yourself, what can I sell you the supplies? Can I just do it? Can I sell you a dumpster? Like, what else do you need if you can do it yourself? Because I'm still trying to get, 200 out of that. That helps them because if they're going to do it themselves, then they never were my client, right? And that's okay. So I'd still rather help them at that point. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I'm obsessed at 25 years in now, 26 actually this year. I'm just obsessed with I will say that, and this is cheesy, but I will say this. 10 years ago, I gave up trying to get rich. And you've done well. Right? So I think at some point you did this too. Like, for me, I just said, okay, because every time I tried to get rich, like I had a whole thing on HSN, Home Shopping Network. I thought I was going to be a millionaire. I lost everything. I mean, I lost 200 grand, man. I lost a lot of money. And because I was trying to get rich, I wasn't trying to help people. And at the end of the day, we are help. That's what we do. All of us we help people. That's what we do. And so I just stopped trying to get rich. And I actually look at my numbers less now. I used to look at it by the minute. Like, I like to know by the hour who's profitable by the hour. And I look at that on Friday now. But yeah, so 7-figure junk is saying it right now. Don't worry about the money. Do the work. Do the right thing. It happens. Amen. It fucking does, man. You do the work. You focus on helping people. The dollars come. If you focus on the dollars, it doesn't always work out. And I had to religiously give into that. Like, spiritually, I had to give up and give into that and trust that it would work. And when you actually do that with your employees, with your clients, like, dude, it works, man. It freaking works. It just does. And
I've always been on that, man. And like, even getting into junk removal now, and a lot of the guys, their first question to me is like, well, how much you making right now? And I always say, I'm not really worried about the numbers right now. I'm worried about setting up the systems, because I know the overall, the numbers are going to come, so don't get so caught up on just chasing a dollar right now. Work on getting the systems, getting everything in place. And just like you said, you have a purpose behind everything. You're trying to help somebody out. That's what your focus is on. The money comes after that.
I used to, at the beginning, I remember I'd come in like, my price is this. And the client would go, well, I only have this. And so then I would try to scale my service down, right? She wanted me to change my price. And now I'm like, all right, well, can you tell 5 women at your church that I did a good job for you? Yeah, I can. I go, great. I'll take $500 off your year, And like, I mean, I did a lot of jobs early on at cost, and a lot of people tell you not to do that, but it got me clients, man. It got me into people, and then I know my service level will get me more. My dad had a saying. He told me. Now, my dad told me this when I was 16. This is a horrible thing. Actually, 15. This is a horrible thing for a 15-year-old to hear, but it's a great thing to know and be confident at 30 when you're hustling. Because I owned my own business at 24. How old were you in your first business?
I was pretty young, man. Yeah, 21 years old.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. So I always think of having I had a great childhood, but my dad said some shit that was pretty straightforward for a kid. But at like 15, he goes, "Hey, man, you're never going to be the best looking. You're never going to be the strongest. You're never going to be the richest." He's like those just aren't your cards that you're dealt. He goes, "But nobody can work harder than you." He goes, "You absolutely can control that." And he goes, "Everyone else will quit because he said, everyone else will quit when it gets hard." And he goes, "So you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the best looking. You don't have to be the richest. All you got to be is the last guy that never quits." And he was right. I mean, I can't tell you how many. I got on TV because nobody else wanted to do it. 6 guys said no before me. I was number 7. Do I care that I was number 7? No, because 25 years later, I'm number 1. I got the number 1 show on Discovery, man. And by the way, I sold Filthy Fortunes 3 other times. We tried to sell it 3 other times. And Discovery passed on it. A&E passed on it. Everybody. I mean, 23 networks passed on it.
Wow.
10
So
years.
so then you used to know Left Right Productions with A&E, right?
Yeah, there were so
So
many, but that was a big group. Yeah, we were.
that was I was picked up by them for 2 seasons on A&E for a fitness model show. It was me and 4 other guys, and they picked us up. They bought the pilot, and we did 2 full seasons. Then Left Right Productions merged with that other
Yeah,
company,
yeah.
and that's when they put us on the back burner, and they never
But,
came to be after that.
you know, Reno 911. That's what happened to Reno 911.
Yep.
That show got made or got bought, and then someone merged. It just went away. And 3 years later, Comedy Central was like, "We think we want to air that." You know, here's the craziest thing: that guy that found me, Bert Clacy, the guy that found me and put me on orders 20 years ago, he's the executive producer on my show, Filthy Fortunes.
Wow, small world, huh?
He hustled it. No, he believed in me, and he
Yep.
saw me hustle over the last ups and downs and all of it. I mean, he'd been there for all of it.
You know
And
what it is, brother? I always say this, man.
yeah,
It's you got the character in you, bro. You got the drive. You know, and no matter what, it was eventually going to happen. It's just who is going to believe in you
sure.
and give you that shot, bro. Because
Yeah,
you can tell,
99
man.
knows.
Just you being on
Yeah.
here, you see, you got it. You know.
99 knows, man. I think I'm at like 96. You know, like I think I'm close. You know, and then I think the key is when you hit it, when you do get your yes, you had your 99 no's. You still got to treat it like a no, but you got to know when to pounce on it. And like I think that's what comes with gray hair. You know, I mean, I struck out a lot in my 20s and 30s, and but yeah, I mean, I just keep going. I'm reading this. Yeah, just don't ever quit. I mean, that's it, honestly. Like, and I just laugh at it now when I'm like, when it gets really hard and I really want to quit, I'm just like, okay, this is one of those days. Like 6 guys are going to quit right now, and so I just advanced way up in the line because I'm not quitting. You know,
Let
and
me
so
ask
I
you,
love
what's
it.
it like walking around? There's like, give me the percentage of people that recognize you from TV, and like, you know, how does that go every day?
Airport, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
People are looking for famous. LAX is a nightmare because everybody's looking for famous people at the airport. I wear a hat at the airport just because if I don't want to be, my kids hate it actually. We live in Atlanta, man. Nobody could care less. I mean, it's great, and so I'm at the right level of famous. You'll also notice I wear the exact same shirt on every episode of every show I've ever done. And so if I want to be recognized, I wear that shirt. If I don't want to be recognized, I don't wear that shirt. And I mean, it's pretty simple. Like I'm that right level of famous that I still got to tell you I'm famous. Like I got a buddy whose son is 7'4", 16-year-old boy, 7'4". That kid can't even go to the grocery store with everybody wanting to take a picture with him. You know, I would not want that level of fame. And but I've lived my life very openly. You can tell I tell it like it is. I tell the stories. I am who I am. And like I know a couple years ago, I was well, this came up. My kids are now older, and I was on Joe Rogan a couple years ago, like 12 years ago. I was on Joe Rogan in the first year, and he had me on, and my kids were like 2 and 3, you know, and now they're teenagers, and they're like, "Dad, you got high with Joe Rogan?"
Yep.
And I'm like, "Yeah, a couple times."
I've also hung out with Joe, man, and I'm in the marijuana business, and I know Joe very well.
and, and he was nice as shit to me, right? And they're like, we don't like my kids are very woke, and they're like, we don't like Joe. I'm like, what? Look, Joe's a nice guy. He's super kind to me, man. You know, and they're like, we didn't know you smoked weed, and I was like, well, don't listen to that podcast. And you know, but like, I've lived my life very open. That even like if you liked me, and I've never acted like I'm perfect. I'm very open about my failures from a celebrity standpoint, and so it is what it is. So if anything crazy came out, you'd be like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like, you know, like, yeah, that adds up, right? And so I've been very like careful not to be fake because I know that could be awful.
Yeah.
And so I am who I am. I try to help. I really honestly try to help everybody. And I thank you for what you said. I mean, I think my compassion does come through. And at the end of the day, that's why people invest in me, and that's why people work for me, and that's why people stay working for me, and that's why people hire us. Because I mean, I'm far from perfect. I mess up all the time. But I got a really good team around me, and a really good team around me. I'm sure you do too. I mean, you have to, and because people like you and me, I mean, I'm already moving on to the other business, but we're just getting our first checks in. You know, on the first, I'm already great. It's a business. We've had 2 orders from the same family, because if they order it once, if they pay for it once, it's a good idea. If they pay for it twice, it's a business, right? And it's real simple. If they pay for it twice, you got a business. And so once I got a business, I'm on to the next one. Like, what's the other revenue stream? What are we missing here?
I love it. Yep.
Yeah, but I've really had to get super, super focused, and my team, they carry it.
Well, I love it, man. I got to thank you for coming on tonight, Matt. It was just amazing to have you on, brother, and true inspiration, bro. And yeah, it's definitely going to stay in touch with you, man. I want you to keep us posted as far as the casting, because I know a lot of the junk removal companies, you know, if you're going to come into the area, they'd love to be on. Also, they'll be out looking for hoarder houses, see if we could connect you with them as well. And yeah, if you ever come visit any of my spots, North Cal, New York, or Florida, let me know.
I'm in Cali next week. I'm gonna email you. I leave for California on Monday. Hey,
oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be in New York on Monday. I go to New York Monday. I'll be there for a week, and then I'll be back in Cali.
All right. I hit the road August 1st. Guys, we're filming for the next 18 months. Can you post out I gotta send you I gotta find the link for the show.
So
but I'd love
what you do is send me after the show, and then I clip out all these in the clips, and I'm going to put them all in the description for everybody. So and I'm going to also put it on the social media. I'll put it on Facebook and Instagram for everybody as well.
So all the junk guys out here, we need you on the show, man. So we'll put the casting if you want to submit a client, and then we'll also put a link in there. Email me so that if you want to actually, if you just want to be on my list of all my resources, we can get you signed up right away. It'd be great.
Oh, perfect. 100%. Well, thank you again, Matt. Really appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for everybody listening. Thanks for sticking in and listening, man. Hope you guys had fun.
Hell yeah. And guys, if you haven't already, please smash that thumbs up button. Help me get in the algorithm. I really appreciate. And tomorrow night, tune in. We got at 5 p.m. on the West Coast. We got Forget About It Fridays, Unfiltered, coming in you live. So make sure you get on for that one. And again, thank you for all tuning in. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Have a great night, everyone.